Hi everyone, I'm Cornelius of Voice Studio East, and this is the 11th installment of the Singing Demystified video series. Last time we explored mixed voice, one approach to singing high notes in modal voicing. This time we are going to explore a more powerful approach, call register, which of all the registers in my system is the one most strongly associated with belting. It sounds like this. In my life, I'm no longer a child, and I yearn for the truth that you know. The first thing to understand about call register is that it basically boils down to shouting a melody. I don't mean that it resembles shouting, it quite literally is shouting. Of course, as with any other vocal coordination, shouting can be more or less skillful, and to add musicality to call register, we can do things like adding vibrato or legato or other things not typically associated with shouting. To find the basic coordination though, the easiest way by far is to simply call out, as if greeting a friend. Hey! Even though it is a shout, it doesn't have to be particularly forceful or involve any great effort. It helps to have a kind of affective intensity and to be highly animated. There is definitely a certain boldness and aggressiveness to it, but there should still be a feeling of freedom, like you are simply letting the sound flow out of you. There should not be a sensation of dragging up a heavy voice, or of putting in a great effort to fight against some resistance or obstruction. It should come out relatively easily. In other words, we are not looking for this. Hey! What we are looking for instead is this. Hey! It helps to keep the sound jovial, which also tends to make the sound warmer and more musically pleasing, at least where happy songs are concerned. The easiest way to find this joviality is to do a brief chuckle before attempting the note, and maintaining the resulting facial expression throughout the duration of the note. Yo! As mentioned before, it is important to just let the sound out and not attempt to hold it in or control it too much. Otherwise, you will get a furtive sounding version which will lack much of the drama of call register. Yo! Though it may still sound vaguely shouty, this is actually a type of mixed voice as it features the restraint discussed in the previous episode. To get rid of the restraint and get into a proper call register, try deliberately increasing the restraint first and then letting go of it while simultaneously letting your posture collapse into something of a slouch. Yo! You can also try sustaining a note with the restraint, but shaped otherwise similarly to call register, and then gradually releasing into the note, so to speak, making the sound gradually more free and flowy. Hey! You'll notice that my smile becomes gradually broader and my face more animated as I release into call register. This is generally very helpful when learning to sing in call register in an efficient manner. While call register is obviously eminently suitable for loud singing, it can also be used with soft volumes if desired. This is somewhat tricky to do, as the tendency will be for singers to restrain their voices when decreasing the volume. They will typically close their mouths a bit, lose energy in the face, perhaps even lower their heads. To avoid this, it helps to go in the opposite direction when reducing the volume. Make the mouth opening larger and the smile fuller and broader. Hey! Once you've gotten the hang of this, you can try going directly for the soft version, and when you've gotten the hang of that too, you can practice going in the opposite direction, from soft to loud, in order to minimize pushing and get a really efficient call register. Hey! Call register differs from chest register in having more vertical space in the oral cavity, a larger distance between the tongue and the palate. This is what gives it its spacious character and makes it feel more flowy compared to chest register. It also somewhat constrains the selection of vowels available in call register, however. Specifically, call register requires a very strong resonance tuning, which usually means vowels like e, and o, but it can also work with whoopy vowels like e and u, though it will be hard to achieve the same level of intensity with these as with the open vowels. These limitations, however, only pertain to spacious call register, with the other subtype, twanged call register, being much more versatile in terms of vowels, not to mention giving easier access to high notes. Twanged call register retains the increased distance between the tongue and the palate compared to chest register, so it is still spacious in a sense, but it features a narrowed pharynx that makes it sound less spacious by comparison. This narrowed pharynx is twang, but it is not the same type of twang as used in chest register, which relies on a very low, brassy kind of twang. Twanged call register instead relies on a whiny kind of twang, more like the one used for mixed voice and pharyngeal voice. We can find this kind of twang by imitating a cat meowing, or yowling. I like the yowling because it is the more screamy of the two, which is fitting because just as spacious call register is essentially a shout, twanged call register is essentially a scream, and thinking of screaming is often a helpful way of getting a proper level of intensity suitable for twanged call register, and especially for the high range, where twanged call register is most at home. In general, there is a tendency to use spacious call register for the lower belting range and twanged call register for the upper belting range, which may make you wonder why I consider them to be subcategories of the same register, rather than regarding them as separate registers entirely. The answer is that there is no clear line to be drawn between spacious and twanged call register, no point where one can be said to end and the other to begin. Closed vowels will become increasingly viable as you go in the twanged direction, but even in the spacious version, they will be viable in the lower range, as seen, for example, in crooning. And the more pharyngeal narrowing you add, the higher you will be able to take these vowels before they start to fail. Thus, there is really no way to draw a boundary between the spacious and twanged varieties of call register. They are mere directions rather than a categorical distinction. To maximize your facility with closed vowels in twanged call register, it helps to add a bit of compression, but unlike with mixed voice, it should not have a quality of restraint. Instead, it should have a quality more like bracing yourself, like this. Make sure, though, that it has this bright forwards quality and is not tending towards a wheezing grandpa voice. To achieve this, simply make sure that you're establishing the compression with a high larynx and a bright vowel like e. Finding the right balance of compression and pharyngeal twang should make it possible to belt out closed vowels, though there are still some constraints pertaining to resonance tuning. For viewers who have watched my resonance series, link in the description, I can say that even twanged call register requires the vowels to be at least in whoop timbre or more open than that, and to use second formant third harmonic tuning or something more fronted than that. What this means in practical terms is that the vowels u and o will need to be directed towards ö as we ascend in pitch, and the vowel e will need to be directed towards e, and that for really high pitches, everything will tend to converge on something like e. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. If you have any questions, whether about call register or about anything else, be sure to leave a comment below. Stay tuned, remember to like and subscribe for more content, and as always, thanks for watching.